ens dona el pas. Ella ens dona...
Espera 2 segons.
Buenas tardes a todos. Reanudamos las conferencias de la tarde anunciándoles que en su programa estaba prevista la conferencia de la señora Irena Peck-Christen.
Good evening, everyone. We are starting this afternoon the talks of Friday at 6. If you see in your program, there was Irena Christen programmed.
Por motivos personales, lamentablemente, Irena no ha podido estar con nosotros en este encuentro.
For personal reasons, Irena cannot be with us today.
Y vamos a continuar esta sesión con los ponentes siguientes.
So we are having the following lecturers.
Las próximas intervenciones correrán a cargo de 2 personas que realizan una extraordinaria labor en sus respectivas secciones.
The 2 lecturers that you're going to listen to are 2 people who do an extraordinary work in their own sections.
En primer lugar, me complace presentarles a Krista Umbjarv. Krista nació en Estonia y entró a formar parte de la Sociedad Teosófica a la edad de 18 años.
First of all, you're going to listen to Krista Umbjarv. She was born in Estonia and became a member of the TIES when she was 18.
Desde su traslado a París, ha trabajado como voluntaria de la sede central de la sección francesa.
Okay. Now she's living in Paris, and since she arrived to Paris, she has been working in the headquarters of the French section.
En ediciones a diario y en la elaboración de la revista Lotus Bleu.
And also in Edition à Diar, where she helps with she's in charge of the edition of the French magazine Le Lotus Bleu.
Actualmente ejerce las funciones de secretaria administrativa de la Federación Europea de Teosofía.
Presently, she is the secretary of the European Federation of the Theosophical Society.
Les dejo con Krista Umbjarv.
So, Krista, whenever you want.
Thank you, Alphonse. I just wish to clarify that I'm not in charge of the Lotus Bleu magazine, but I am also working on it so that it could see light almost every month.
Quiero aclarar que no estoy a cargo de realizar la revista Lotus Bleu, sino que colaboro y contribuyo para que pueda salir cada mes.
It's just a small thing. Dear friends,
queridos amigos,
I am very glad to be here with you and to share this wonderful atmosphere.
Estoy muy contenta de estar aquí con vosotros y compartir este maravilloso ambiente.
There have been so many clear and really precious lectures that it feels that there is nothing else to be said.
Han habido tantas conferencias maravillosas, inspiradoras e interesantes que parece que quede muy poco ya para decir.
The path to universal consciousness has been explained so clearly and showed in such depth.
El sendero hacia la conciencia, el camino hacia la conciencia universal se ha explicado tan bien y con tanta profundidad.
As I do not feel myself in the position really to talk about universal consciousness,
Como no me siento realmente en una posición digna de hablar de la conciencia universal,
I would rather talk about few things that one is likely to meet on the path.
prefiero hablar de unas cuantas cosas con las que uno se encuentra en el sendero.
You will see that there is likely nothing new in what I say.
Ya veréis que no habrá nada nuevo en todo lo que diga.
And this also because what I'm going to say pertains to life.
Y esto también quiero deciros que lo que voy a decir pertenece a la vida.
When one meets with Theosophy, I think each and every one of us, we can recognize that there have been a search of something. Either it has been acknowledged in a very conscious way, or it has been there and we have kind of like stumbled upon it.
Cuando uno se encuentra con la teosofía, reconoceréis, cada uno puede reconocer que realmente ha habido siempre esa búsqueda inconsciente o consciente dentro de nosotros.
If people stay with it, it means that there is something that has really touched them.
Si la gente se queda, permanece en la teosofía, significa que hay algo que realmente les ha llegado.
And although Rumi has been quoted already several times, I would wish to say something that he has said, which I think describes it very well.
Aunque ya se ha citado a Rumi varias veces, me gustaría hacer otra cita más que expresa muy bien lo que quiero decir.
He said that I pulled a thorn from the fence of his garden.
Dijo que arranqué una espina de la puerta de su jardín, de la verja de su jardín.
And since then, it has not stopped working its way into my heart.
Y desde entonces no ha dejado de avanzar hasta llegar a mi corazón.
I think this thorn might be of different sizes or more or less sharp, but it is there and it is working its way with its own rhythm.
Esta espina puede tener distintos tamaños y ser más o menos espinosa, pero está allí y avanza, va avanzando a su propio ritmo.
What is implied by it is not likely what one thinks at the first place when one meets with Theosophy.
Lo que esto implica no es diferente a lo que uno piensa que es la teosofía cuando entra en contacto con ella.
I would say there is a paradox the way we advance on this path.
Diría que se trata de una paradoja, la manera en que vamos avanzando en este sendero.
I think when we meet with Theosophy, we can say in a symbolic way that for a moment we see some light.
Cuando nos encontramos con la teosofía, podríamos decir que simbólicamente nos encontramos con una luz.
And it gives joy to life, to go on.
Y nos da, nos proporciona una alegría, un gozo para seguir en la vida.
That you all know that HPB had a very difficult life.
Todos sabéis que HPB tuvo una vida muy difícil.
She was a constant object of slander and lies, and I think she had more enemies in her life than friends.
Fue un objeto constante de maledicción, de de escándalos y mentiras, y podría decir que tuvo más enemigos que amigos.
Yet she said that she accepted all this cheerfully and voluntarily.
Pero dijo que todo lo aceptaba con alegría y voluntariamente.
She said that, and I quote,
Y dijo que, y voy a citar,
"From the first, I knew what I had to expect.
desde el principio sabía lo que esperaba,
For I was told that, which I have never ceased repeating to others,
porque me dijeron lo que nunca he dejado de repetir a los otros.
as soon as one steps on the path leading to the ashram of the blessed masters,
En cuanto uno empieza a hollar, a pisar el sendero que conduce al ashram o a los benditos maestros,
the last and only custodians of primitive wisdom and truth,
los últimos y únicos custodios de la sabiduría primitiva y de la verdad,
his karma, instead of having to be distributed throughout his whole life, falls upon him in a block and crushes him with its whole weight.
su karma, en lugar de distribuirse a lo largo de toda su vida, le cae encima como un bloque y lo aplasta con todo su peso.
Although when she said that she talked about discipleship, it seems that the same principle applies on a smaller scale, even when somebody is only looking at those steps.
Aunque cuando ella dijo esto, evidentemente estaba hablando del discipulado, parece que también se aplica a menor escala, en grados más pequeños, solamente con el hecho de mirar esos peldaños.
So, instead of having a comfortable life where one could study, read, work and do everything quietly and smoothly,
así que en lugar de tener una vida cómoda en la que pues, podríamos leer, meditar y disfrutar de las comodidades,
life will foresee something quite different, and this something will correspond to our level of seriousness in life.
La vida nos deparará algo bastante distinto, y este algo se corresponderá con nuestro nivel de seriedad.
The events that life sends us do not pertain to verifying how much knowledge we have.
Los acontecimientos que la vida nos manda no pertenecen, no dependen, no son para verificar nada, ni dependen del conocimiento que tenemos.
Or how well or how much we know a theory or a book.
O cuánto de bien conocemos una teoría o un libro.
We will not be asked to pass exams on Teosófica literature about change or rounds or whatever.
No tendremos que pasar ningún examen de literatura teosófica sobre las rondas, las razas, etc.
What we will encounter will concern life itself.
Aquello con lo que nos encontraremos tiene que ver con la vida misma.
The way we perceive and experience it, not what we know about it.
La manera, the way we
Perceive.
La manera en que percibimos la experiencia,
How we perceive and experience it, that not what we know about it.
No tiene nada que ver con lo que sabemos de esa experiencia.
It pertains to this relationship with oneself and others.
Pertenece a esta, it pertains to this, a la
relationship
relación
with oneself and with others.
Con nosotros mismos y con los demás.
How is it that we perceive oneself and the others?
¿Cómo nos percibimos a nosotros mismos y a los demás?
We always have an image what we are and how we are.
Siempre tenemos una imagen de lo que somos y de cómo somos.
Usually it is a nice one.
Normalmente es una imagen bonita.
But I think if one learns with honesty, and I would say with courage, because it is needed, how one's mind and eye work.
Pero si uno mira con honestidad, y yo diría con valor también, porque se necesita, cómo nuestra mente funciona,
one learns at the same time how those same things work in other people.
Uno ve también y comprende cómo funcionan esas cosas en los demás.
Why?
¿Por qué?
Because fundamentally we are the same.
Porque fundamentalmente somos igual.
Not only spiritually speaking,
no solo espiritualmente hablando,
but from the standpoint of what we would usually call lower mind.
Sino ya desde el punto de vista de lo que normalmente llamamos la mente inferior.
Others function in the same way as we do.
Los demás funcionan de la misma manera que funcionamos nosotros.
There are only variations in details and degrees.
Solamente hay variaciones en los detalles.
If one does not recognize things in oneself,
si uno no se reconoce algunas cosas en sí mismo,
or refuses to do it,
o se niega a hacerlo,
because it is too unpleasant or even ugly,
porque es demasiado desagradable o incluso feo,
one can never recognize them in others.
Nunca podrá reconocerlos en los demás.
If one refuses to look,
si uno se niega a mirar,
refuses to see things in oneself,
se niega a ver cosas en uno mismo,
it means that at the same time one is negating humanity.
Quiere decir que al mismo tiempo está negando la humanidad.
Because all what we see in ourselves is the reality of humanity.
Porque todo lo que vemos en nosotros mismos es la realidad de la humanidad.
When I mean that we recognize the same things in other people, I do not mean that we are pointing fingers or we are criticizing others.
Cuando digo que reconocemos cosas en los demás, no me refiero a que estemos señalándole con el dedo ni criticándole nada.
But it means seeing and observing all our attitudes, all our emotions, all our thoughts as they are.
All our, the last word? Emotions
and thoughts.
Thoughts. Simplemente significa observar nuestras palabras, nuestros actos y nuestros pensamientos tal como son.
As a cause of suffering.
Como causa de sufrimiento.
And if one recognizes this both in oneself and in others,
y si uno reconoce todo esto en uno mismo y en los demás,
compassion follows naturally.
La compasión viene a continuación.
Nowadays, meditation on compassion is talked about a lot.
Hoy en día se habla mucho de la compasión y de la meditación.
One might think that it means that one imagines oneself to be compassionate, or one is trying to create something.
To
create something.
Uno puede pensar que es muy compasivo o que está creando algo.
Or that one just thinks about compassion and how good compassion is.
O simplemente uno piensa en lo bueno que es la compasión.
But it indicates beginning to see what is the reality of things.
Pero indica que está empezando a ver la realidad de las cosas.
Because usually we do not see.
Porque generalmente no vemos.
We, or I do not say you, I am so absorbed into oneself and so concerned with oneself that we do not see, or I do not see what is the reality of things.
Ya no digo vosotros, pero yo a veces estamos tan tan absortos en nosotros mismos que no vemos la realidad de las cosas.
So it means that one sees reality. It means that one begins to see suffering, and as a natural result, compassion will arise.
Significa que uno empieza a ver la realidad y por consiguiente surge la compasión.
We are not inventing something. We are not creating something.
No estamos inventando ni creando nada.
We just begin to see the reality of things, and it will come naturally.
Simplemente estamos empezando a ver la realidad de las cosas.
I think when we talk about the path,
cuando hablamos del camino, del sendero,
it is always good to think what is caused by what.
Siempre está bien pensar qué es causado por qué.
Instead of forcing oneself blindly through something, to really seeing what brings about what.
What brings about?
What.
En lugar de forzarnos ciegamente para comprender algo, deberíamos intentar comprender qué es la causa de otra cosa.
When I look at my life, I have sometimes the impression that, symbolically speaking, I am living the life of God's described in the wheel of life, Buddhist wheel of life.
One second. Cuando pienso en mi vida, me da la sensación de que estoy viviendo, I am living the life of
the gods as described in the wheel of life, the Buddhist wheel of life.
The Buddhist way.
Will.
Voluntad. Will. Que estoy viviendo la vida tal como se describe en la rueda de la vida en budista.
Those gods, they are well off in their life.
Those gods?
God.
God. Los dioses. Estos dioses están muy bien acomodados en su vida.
They have enough to eat and to drink, and they have enough means in life.
Tienen suficiente para comer y para beber y están muy bien.
They do not war, neither violence.
They do not?
No, neither war nor violence.
No conocen ni la violencia ni
war.
Ni la guerra ni la violencia.
And they are living their life comfortably.
Y viven su vida muy cómodamente.
It seems as if they are living ages.
Y parece que vivan durante siglos.
And that they are forever young.
Y de que siempre serán jóvenes.
And they will never die.
Y que nunca morirán.
And yet when the karma that has put them in those favorable conditions has been exhausted, they will die.
Y sin embargo, cuando el karma que los ha situado en esas condiciones favorables se agote, morirán.
They will go empty-handed because they have eaten all the fruits during their lifetime and they have not sown new seeds.
Se marcharán con las manos vacías porque se habrán comido todos los frutos durante su vida y sin haber plantado semillas, más semillas.
Each and every one of us, we know that we will die.
Cada uno de nosotros sabemos que vamos a morir.
It is not something new, it is not something complicated. Everybody knows that we will die.
No es nada nuevo ni complicado, todos sabemos que moriremos.
Yet usually we think that we do not die today.
Pero normalmente pensamos que hoy no vamos a morir.
But the day we will die, it will be today.
Pero el día en que muramos será hoy.
It will not be tomorrow, it will not be next week, it will not be next year.
No será ni mañana, ni la semana próxima, ni el año próximo.
When it actually happens, it will be today.
Cuando de verdad ocurra, será hoy.
There is a Zen saying that goes, life is short, so relax.
Hay un dicho zen que dice, la vida es corta, así que relajaros.
It seems to imply that if we realize impermanence, many things will fall into their proper place.
Parece implicar que si somos conscientes de la impermanencia, muchas cosas se colocarán en su sitio.
Many petty things of daily life, all the small differences in opinions, all such things next to impermanence do not seem to have the same meaning.
Muchas cosas tontas de la vida diaria, diferencias de opinión y cosas de estas, realmente aparecerán como nada importantes ante nosotros.
It is nothing difficult. It is nothing difficult as a theory.
No es nada difícil como teoría.
But I believe if one tries to see it, and I try to see it also, which is why I'm saying it, if one tries to see it, it will help to create a strong foundation.
Pero si intentamos verlo claramente, esto nos ayudará a crear una base muy fuerte, muy sólida.
Or to strengthen it if it is already there, quite strong.
O si ya era fuerte, reforzarla más.
It's like we have a choice whether to build our house on a rock or on a sand, or on the sand.
Es como si tuviéramos la opción de construir nuestra casa sobre una roca o sobre la arena.
As Samdong Rinpoche has once said, life spent in preparation is life spent well.
Como dijo Samdong Rinpoche, una vida pasada preparándola y creando una base fuerte es una vida bien vivida.
One cannot say much to where it leads.
Where it is?
Where it leads.
No podemos hablar mucho de a dónde conduce.
But the thorn is there and it is working its way.
Pero la espina misma está avanzando, haciendo su camino.
I thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Os agradezco vuestra atención.
Merci.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Krista, por compartir con nosotros tan profundos pensamientos.
Thank you, Krista, for sharing with us your so deep thoughts.
A continuación, nos complace presentarles a Patrizia Calvi.
Next, we are very pleased to introduce you to Patrizia Calvi.
Patrizia Calvi se inscribió como miembro de la Sociedad Teosófica Italiana a la edad de 20 años.
Patrizia Calvi became a member of the Theosophical Society in Italy when she was 20.
Y destacó rápidamente por su participación activa en el grupo de Vicenza, sobre todo en lo que tiene que ver con la acción humanitaria.
And very quickly she started working actively in the Vicenza group, particularly with everything that has to do with the humanitarian action.
Actualmente es responsable de la edición de la revista italiana de Teosofía.
Today she's responsible for the edition of the Italian magazine of Theosophy.
Preside el grupo teosófico Aurora de Vicenza.
She is the leader of the Theosophical group Aurora in Vicenza.
Y es miembro del comité ejecutivo de la Sociedad Teosófica Italiana.
And she's a member of the executive committee of the TS in Italy.
Y miembro al mismo tiempo del comité ejecutivo de la Federación Teosófica Europea.
And also a member of the executive committee of the European Federation of the TS.
La conferencia que nos expone a continuación se titula Los retos de nuestro tiempo.
The next talk she's going to give has a title, The Challenges of Our Times.
Con todos ustedes, Patrizia M.Calvi.
Patricia, your turn.
Queridos amigos, friends, I often think of our most prominent theosophical pioneers' huge efforts to elevate the consciousness of humanity over the past 2 centuries. With remarkable insight and discernment, they anticipated and exposed ethical and social issues that subsequently became a key battleground for all that people who are committed to good causes. They made their voices heard about matters such as ecology, vegetarianism, vaccination, women's rights, capital punishment, prisoners' abuse, hunger and famine worldwide, and educational and social reforms. But if they were living here, now, what topical issues relevant for contemporary human needs would they raise? There have been big social and cultural changes in recent decades, and the focus of public debate has shifted towards new areas such as bioethics, which deals with moral considerations relating to biological research and medicine. Bioethics is a crucial discipline because it can help us to establish clear ideas about our values, which are really put to the test by scientific progress and socio-cultural changes. Another topic of this kind is the sexual revolution and the increasingly widespread use of contraception, as well as abortion and the development of artificial reproduction techniques. I would also take into consideration everything related to the end of human life. New technologies are now available to save people from certain death and artificially extend their existences. The process of dying has so ended up in doctors' hands, and it has led to talk of medical imperialism. It has highlighted the need not only to give patients back their decision-making power and their dignity, but also to draw up living wills, which raised the age-old question of euthanasia. Other noteworthy matters include the development associated with research into molecular biology. For example, studies of this kind led to the mapping of the human genome, which is having increasingly profound effect on our lives and our very concept of humanity. Another area we shouldn't overlook is the fascinating research being done by physicists into consciousness. Consciousness is a huge enigma onto which scientists have yet to shed full light. On this theme, contributions have been made by researchers such as the distinguished mathematician Penrose, whose theory has much in common with Eastern religious concepts that see the soul as an integral part of the universe, existing outside time and space. According to Penrose, bodily experience is simply a stage in the spiritual revolution of the human consciousness. It is a theory that opens up the possibility of positive confrontations between reason and faith, science and religion. Biocentrism is another intriguing idea. The basic concept of biocentrism is that life and consciousness play a crucial part in the universe, and that it is essentially consciousness itself that creates the physical universe in which we live, rather than the other way around. For example, according to Dr. Robert Lanza, the laws of the universe, its strengths and its constants, are clearly made to support life. This implies that before life and matter, a form of intelligence already existed, primary intelligence that generated matter or from which matter was generated, including living beings. In addition, Lanza believes that time and space are merely elements that enable us to understand things, but that they do not actually exist. Similarly, it makes no sense for him to talk of death or of the death of consciousness, which he believes exists beyond the bounds of time and space, and that is capable of being everywhere, both inside and outside a human body. Lanza backs the theory of parallel universes that exists simultaneously, which is one of the cornerstones of biocentrism. It is an idea that comes from quantum mechanics, and the basic concept is that a particle can be present everywhere and things can happen in many, sometimes infinite ways. Therefore, if a body dies in one universe, its consciousness can migrate to a parallel universe, then endlessly continue entering and leaving bodies. It's a form of reincarnation of consciousness, or rather of recycling the energy of consciousness, which can obviously exist both inside and outside a physical body. All of these led the physicist Paul Davies to say, "It may seem bizarre, but in my opinion, science offers a surer path to God than religion." The scientist and the theologian approach the deep question of existence from utterly different starting points. Many professional scientists are also deeply religious and apparently have little intellectual difficulty in allowing the two sides of their philosophy to peacefully coexist. We could say that we are living in the era of biological revolution, which has opened up new horizons in the fight against disease and suffering, but at the same time has introduced new risks and dangers. The changes that are taking place call into question ancient philosophical concepts and present unprecedented moral dilemmas, which are as hard to process for religions as they are for anyone else. Therefore, we are faced with the need to redraw our values system, and we require new propositions that can provide humanity with support in the decisions that it has to make. Let us take a look at some concrete examples. In 1980, the US Supreme Court ruled that new life forms could be patented. Shortly afterwards, representatives of the most widespread religions in the United States sent a letter to Jimmy Carter, who was the president at the time. And while they acknowledged that creating new forms of life had dramatic potential for improving human life, they expressed great concern and asked for strict regulations regarding the huge power that it would give to scientists. Meanwhile, when the big scheme to map and sequence the human genome, known as the Human Genome Project, was launched, it was immediately recognized that there was a need to accompany the scientific work with constant discussion on its ethical, social, and legal consequences. A significant proportion, approximately 3% of the funding for the project, was set aside for studies of this kind. No problem, Raquel. I will carry on. No problem. If you look around you, on a social level, you will see numerous people suffering from what has been described as the disease of the 21st century. I mean, the inherent loneliness of the digital revolution. I mean, the use of smartphones, social networks, chat messaging services, Instagram, and so, you know. Essentially, everything that makes us feel like we are in contact with other people actually makes us more isolated and shut off in our homes and our lives. Paradoxically, the social network craze means that we no longer have friends. In addition, very recent studies have shown that 8 out of 10 women, a number which is a third higher than that of men, live in a constant state of anxiety. When they get up in the morning, their only goal is to squeeze all sorts of work, family, social and other commitments into the day. Anxiety is a natural mechanism that helps us to fight or flee from danger and increase our watchfulness, our heart rate, the blood flow from the internal organ to the muscles and so on, sugar level in the blood. But while it was useful back when we were living in caves, it becomes a disorder when it occurs so frequently, and it can cause problems such as panic attacks, phobias, and obsessive-compulsive disorders. This has led to the emergence of the remarkable business that revolves around products such as tranquilizers, medicine for relaxing, pills to fight stress and depression, and so on. So, dear friends, how can we respond to all of this? What can we offer to people who are looking for new paradigms to help them to understand the world? In my opinion, we no longer need dogmatic faith that guarantees the salvation of our souls. But instead we need to be liberated from the passive way in which we contemplate and experience our inner selves. Enlightened people from every era have tried to offer solutions to the problems of their time, going beyond the process of logical thinking. With our new values system, in a world that is experiencing profound and continual change, and in which people wander, confused and incapable of offering answers and behavior of any depth, the role of theosophy is extremely important. Theosophy can give meaning to questions and fill things that people consider empty with significance. This comes at a time when religions no longer have the same impact and the same capacity to cater to human needs. Theosophy offers a vision of a number of dimensions of a world that otherwise makes no sense, and in which existence has no meaning or prospect if it is only viewed on a horizontal material plane. Let us consider a few examples and proposals for work. The theosophical concept of unity of all life, this essential unity of all life and being, which is reflected in our first object regarding universal brotherhood without distinction. This concept is invaluable, and it has all sorts of implications, not only in the ethical, but also political, social, and scientific terms. I'm thinking of racism, of course, for example, and in particular of religious discrimination, but for example also to the phenomenon of migration from Africa to Europe that so deeply touches countries like Italy, Spain, Greece, but all Europe, you know all very well. Alternatively, there are issues such as karma and reincarnation that can give a big help for people who have been dealt a bad hand in life, or doctors, for example, and researchers who manipulate our DNA, or judges who hold the life and death of human beings in their hands, because adopting a different outlook on existence will not change problems, but it can help us to see them more than as opportunities, rather than as things that really harm us and that we must simply endure with resignation and anger. Or, if we consider the scientific theory regarding the primary intelligence that generated matter that I mentioned earlier, it can be given much broader scope by the references to an absolute reality which antecedes all manifest conditioned being, described by HBB in The Secret Doctrine. Further simple examples of this kind are provided by the ideas expressed again in The Secret Doctrine, for example with regard to time, space and consciousness. Secret Doctrine again. Time is only an illusion produced by the succession of our states of consciousness as we travel through eternal duration, and it does not exist where no consciousness exists, in which the illusion can be produced, but lies asleep. Another from The Secret Doctrine. Quotation. Our ideas, in short, on duration and time are all derived from our sensations, according to the laws of association. Inextricably bound up with the relativity of human knowledge, they nevertheless can have no existence except in the experience of the individual ego, and perish when its evolutionary march dispels the maya of phenomenal existence. What is time, for instance, but the panoramic succession of our states of consciousness? End of quotation. But again, Secret Doctrine. Esoteric philosophy teaches that everything lives and is conscious. If we consider the topic of consciousness, it also ties into the exceptional opportunities that we have to evolve into this material plane. For example, always HBB states that there can be no manifestation of consciousness except through the vehicle of matter, that is to say, on this our plane. The sacredness of life also is a pervasive topic that can be found in all theosophical literature, along with discussions on how to approach big correlated issues such as conception and euthanasia. It helps us to understand the grand design behind everything that exists, and it gives us a part and a conscious role to play in the divine plan. For example, the third fundamental proposition, again Secret Doctrine, tells us of the obligatory pilgrimage of every soul through the cycle of incarnation in accordance with cyclic and karmic law during the whole term. Sorry. In other words, no purely spiritual body, divine soul, can have an independent, conscious existence before the spark which issued from the pure essence of the universal sixth principle or oversoul has A. passed through every elemental form of the phenomenal world of that Manvantara. And B, acquired individuality, first by natural impulse and then by self-induced and self-devised efforts, checked by its karma, thus ascending through all the degrees of intelligence, from the lowest to the highest manas, from mineral and plant to the holiest archangels or Dhyani Buddhas. The following quote sums up the idea that death is a normal part of the change process. An alteration, such as that of day and night, life and death, sleeping and waking, is a fact so common, so perfectly universal and without exception, that it is easy to comprehend that in it we see one of the absolutely fundamental laws of the universe. Well, dear brothers and sisters, even this small selection of brief mentions of the topic suffices to show that Theosophy offers an exceptionally suitable way of approaching the problems presented by our time. Therefore, as Theosophists, we should help to make proposals and form working groups in order to contribute to the development of a new vision of the world and what happens in it for the good of humanity as a whole. As Sri Ram said, the sole goal behind everything that we do should be to convey the truth, which everybody needs in order to be happy. And as our respected president said on the occasion of our 100th Congress of the Italian section, he said, where there is a concentration of people, there is a concentration of resources. So, dear friends, I would finish leaving you with a question. What would Blavatsky, Besant, Olcott, and so on do if they were in our shoes, here and now? Thank you.
It has been acknowledged in a very conscious way, or it has been there and we have kind of like stumbled upon it.
Cuando uno se encuentra con la teosofía, reconoceréis, cada uno puede reconocer que realmente ha habido siempre esa búsqueda inconsciente o consciente dentro de nosotros.
If people stay with it, it means that there is something that has really touched them.
Si la gente se queda, permanece en la teosofía, significa que hay algo que realmente les ha llegado.
And although Rumi has been quoted already several times, I would wish to say something that he has said, which I think describes it very well.
Aunque ya se ha citado a Rumi varias veces, me gustaría hacer otra cita más que expresa muy bien lo que quiero decir.
He said that I pulled a thorn from the fence of his garden.
Dijo que arranqué una espina de la puerta de su jardín, de la verja de su jardín.
And since then, it has not stopped working its way into my heart.
Y desde entonces no ha dejado de avanzar hasta llegar a mi corazón.
I think this thorn might be
Two people who do an extraordinary work in their own sections.
En primer lugar, me complace presentarles a Krista Umbjarv. Krista nació en Estonia y entró a formar parte de la Sociedad Teosófica a la edad de 18 años.
First of all, you're going to listen to Krista Umbjarv. She was born in Estonia and became a member of the TIES when she was 18.
Desde su traslado a París, ha trabajado como voluntaria de la sede central de la sección francesa.
Okay. Now she's living in Paris, and since she arrived to Paris, she has been working in the headquarters of the French section.
En ediciones a diario y en la elaboración de la revista Lotus Bleu.
And also in Edition à Diar, where she helps with she's in charge of the edition of the French magazine Le Lotus Bleu.
Actualmente ejerce las funciones de secretaria administrativa de la Federación Europea de Teosofía.
Presently, she is the secretary of the European Federation of the Theosophical Society.
Les dejo con Krista Umbjarv.
So, Krista, whenever you want.
Thank you, Alphonse. I just wish to clarify that I'm not in charge of the Lotus Bleu magazine, but I am also working on it so that it could see light almost every month.
Quiero aclarar que no estoy a cargo de realizar la revista Lotus Bleu, sino que colaboro y contribuyo para que pueda salir cada mes.
Just a small thing. Dear friends,
queridos amigos,
I am very glad to be here with you and to share this wonderful atmosphere.
Estoy muy contenta de estar aquí con vosotros y compartir este maravilloso ambiente.
There have been so many clear and really precious lectures that it feels that there is nothing else to be said.
Han habido tantas conferencias maravillosas, inspiradoras e interesantes que parece que quede muy poco ya para decir.
The path to universal consciousness has been explained so clearly and showed in such depth.
El sendero hacia la conciencia, el camino hacia la conciencia universal se ha explicado tan bien y con tanta profundidad.
As I do not feel myself in the position really to talk about universal consciousness,
como no me siento realmente en una posición digna de hablar de la conciencia universal,
I would rather talk about few things that one is likely to meet on the path.
Prefiero hablar de unas cuantas cosas con las que uno se encuentra en el sendero.
You will see that there is likely nothing new in what I say.
Ya veréis que no habrá nada nuevo en todo lo que diga.
And this also because what I'm going to say pertains to life.
Y esto también quiero deciros que lo que voy a decir pertenece a la vida.
When one meets with Theosophy, I think each and every one of us, we can recognize that there have been a search of something, either
ens dona el pas. Ella ens dona... Buenas tardes a todos. Reanudamos las conferencias de la tarde anunciándoles que en su programa estaba prevista la conferencia de la señora Irena Peck-Christen.
Good evening, everyone. We are starting this afternoon the talks of Friday at 6. If you see in your program, there was Irena Christen programmed.
Por motivos personales, lamentablemente, Irena no ha podido estar con nosotros en este encuentro.
For personal reasons, Irena cannot be with us today.
Y vamos a continuar esta sesión con los ponentes siguientes.
So we are having the following lecturers.
Las próximas intervenciones correrán a cargo de dos personas que realizan una extraordinaria labor en sus respectivas secciones.
The two lecturers that you're going to listen to are